Did you know that narcissistic abuse aftermath can make simple daily tasks feel overwhelming? It's true. What should be easy, like making breakfast or doing laundry, can suddenly feel challenging and burdensome. When you've spent time in the emotional whirlwind of a narcissist, your energy gets drained and your confidence takes a hit. Today, we'll explore why victims of narcissistic abuse struggle with daily tasks. If you've ever felt like just getting out of bed is a challenge, you're in the right place. Let's unpack this together and find a path to feeling more capable in your day-to-day life. Are you ready for number 1? Emotional and physical exhaustion. When you're dealing with narcissistic abuse, it's like running on a battery that's been drained down to 1%. However, somehow, you still have to make it through the day. Emotional manipulation sucks the life out of you, leaving no energy for things like doing the dishes or even brushing your hair. It's not just emotional exhaustion either. Stress from all that drama can actually make your body feel like you've run a marathon when all you did was get out of bed. As Dr. Ramani Durvasula says, narcissistic abuse is like emotional quicksand. The more you struggle, the more it drains you. Listen carefully. To overcome emotional and physical exhaustion, prioritize self-care by scheduling regular breaks, engaging in healthy activities, and seeking support to help recharge your energy and resilience. Let's talk about number 2. Time blindness. When you're caught up in the stress of narcissistic abuse, your sense of time can get completely thrown off. It's like you lose track of how long things take, and suddenly, even small tasks feel like they're taking forever or need to be rushed. It is called time blindness, where everything feels chaotic. Therapist Shannon Thomas explains that abuse survivors often struggle with executive function, which includes time management. So it's not that you're lazy, it's that the stress has disrupted your ability to plan and manage your day, making everything feel overwhelming. Let me teach you something. Use timers or visual schedules to break tasks into manageable segments. It helps you regain a sense of time and control over your daily activities. Let's move on to number 3. Memory problems. If you're dealing with narcissistic abuse, you might feel like your brain is running on dial-up internet, super slow and prone to crashing at the worst times. Trauma can mess with your short-term memory. It makes it feel like you've got post-it notes floating around in your head that never stick. You know, that moment when you walk into a room and suddenly can't remember why you're there. It's frustrating. As therapist Dr. Nicole LaPera says, trauma can leave your brain in survival mode, making it hard to focus on the little things. Take note of this. To overcome memory problems, practice grounding techniques like mindfulness and keep a journal or planner to help organize your thoughts and improve your focus. Now, let's continue to number 4. Lack of motivation. When you're stuck in the cycle of narcissistic abuse, it's like trying to grow a garden in a hailstorm. No matter how hard you try, it feels like nothing will ever bloom. That lack of motivation can hit hard, especially when it seems like your best efforts are met with nothing but criticism. As therapist Dr. Nicole LaPera says, when you feel like nothing you do is enough, motivation takes a serious hit. So it's totally understandable if even getting out of your pajamas feels like a heavy task. Who wouldn't want to skip the effort when the finish line keeps moving? Let me give you some friendly advice. To overcome this lack of motivation, start by setting small, achievable goals and celebrating each step you take. It allows you to build momentum and regain a sense of accomplishment. You shouldn't miss number 5. Trauma triggers. If you're navigating life after narcissistic abuse, everyday tasks can feel like a minefield of memories just waiting to explode. You might be just trying to wash the dishes, and suddenly you're hit with flashbacks that make you feel like you've been slapped in the face. As trauma expert Dr. Judith Herman says, trauma can create a landscape of triggers that makes daily life feel like a battleground. So it's no wonder that something as simple as folding laundry can feel like an emotional roller coaster. You just wanted to tidy up, not relive the past. Consider this tip. Practice grounding techniques and mindfulness to help anchor yourself in the present, allowing you to navigate tasks with greater emotional stability. Are you still up for number 6? Overburdening. Narcissists have a talent for piling on tasks and making you feel like you should be doing a million things at once. It's like they hand you a plate that's already overflowing and then say, "Hey, can you balance these 5 more things?" Plus, when you feel like saying no is off the table, you're stuck taking on way too much. As therapist Dr. Tara Brach puts it, without healthy boundaries, you're just a busy bee in someone else's hive. So it's no surprise that you end up overwhelmed, trying to juggle everything while feeling like you're drowning in tasks you never wanted in the first place. Listen carefully. To overcome this, establish and communicate clear boundaries, allowing yourself to say no to additional tasks and prioritize your well-being and responsibilities. Let's keep it moving to number 7. Lack of structure. If you've been through narcissistic abuse, you probably know how a lack of structure can turn your life into a chaotic mess, right? With everything feeling unpredictable, it's tough to establish any routines or systems to manage your tasks. As psychologist Dr. Stephen Stosny puts it, in a chaotic environment, it's hard to create stability. So, no wonder simple tasks become overwhelming. Without a solid game plan, it feels like you're just throwing darts in the dark, hoping something sticks. Let me give you a tip. Create a daily schedule with specific time blocks for tasks and self-care. It helps you establish routines that bring stability and clarity to your life. Here comes number 8. Fear of being a burden. If you've experienced narcissistic abuse, you might feel like asking for help is just asking for trouble, right? That fear of being a burden can keep you from reaching out. It makes you think you should handle everything on your own. It's like trying to lift a boulder while telling everyone, "No, I'm fine," as you struggle to stand. As life coach Brené Brown says, vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. So remember this, needing help doesn't make you a burden. It just makes you human. Moving on to number 9, lack of focus. If you've experienced narcissistic abuse, you might feel like your brain is trying to multitask on 5 different things. With all that cognitive overload, concentrating on just one task feels about as likely as winning the lottery. You might start cleaning one room and suddenly find yourself scrolling through your phone, wondering how you ended up looking at recipes for cupcakes instead. As psychologist Dr. David Dunning puts it, cognitive overload can hijack your attention, making it hard to focus on anything. To overcome this, limit distractions by breaking tasks into smaller steps and setting specific time limits for each task. It allows you to concentrate and gradually build your attention span. Finally, we're down to number 10. Codependency. Narcissists often encourage codependency. They make it hard for you to believe you can tackle tasks on your own. It's like being in a boat with a hole in it. Every time you try to row, someone's still poking at the leak. As therapist Dr. Margaret Paul says, codependency is about giving away your power. When you're stuck in that mindset, it can feel impossible to be independent. Keep this in mind. To overcome this, Focus on building your self-efficacy by setting and achieving small goals independently. By doing this, you gradually reinforce your sense of capability and personal power. Living with the effects of narcissistic abuse can take a toll on daily life. Victims often find themselves feeling overwhelmed, not just because of the emotional scars, but also due to the constant battle against anxiety, self-doubt, and even guilt. Simple tasks can feel overwhelming when your mind is racing with negative thoughts, or when you're just trying to rebuild your sense of self. But it's important to remember that these feelings are valid, and you're not alone in this struggle. Progress might feel slow, but every little step counts. You've got this.